Our next speaker is Jim Collier, if you'd like to take the stand.
Thank you. And Gary, I also recognise the symbolism of standing in front of this war memorial, particularly the 1914-19 war. If Wikileaks had been going then, we wonder if that would actually have happened. Ladies and gentlemen, I think most of you know me, and thank you all for coming. I think it's great. And that's my being nice to you, so I'm going to be pretty rude to you. I think you're a miserable bunch of heathens. I've never seen such a lot of scummy heathens in the whole of my life, and as such I think you need a little bit of preaching too. So I'm going to read out the Anglican Bishop of Tasmania's Christmas message, which was published in the Examiner, to you. I'm going to read part of it anyway, and this is from John Harrower, and he said on the 24th of December, Wikileaks, a strong force. Wikileaks and Jesus Christ. The secret thoughts of diplomats and national leaders have been pouring out at a great rate from Wikileaks, and Australians are divided on whether they are heroes or villains. If revelation is the name of the game, then Wikileaks and Jesus Christ have a lot going for them. Both seek to reveal what is hidden. Both want truth outed. Both seek the welfare of the city. But it is also true that both founders are persecuted. Both make enemies of the powerful. Both are attacked. Both attract condemnation and affirmation. Both founders are brought to trial. Will the founders receive a fair trial? Does the revealing of information bring benefit or harm? Wikileaks may benefit the people by increasing the accountability of political and powerful leaders through the fear of the truth being made known. But some feel that Wikileaks may harm the reputations or even imperil the lives of people and agencies by revealing stupidity, deceit and pettiness. And that's half of the Christmas message from Bishop John Harrower of the Anglican Church in Hobart. And I think it was pretty good, and I read it in the paper, and I thought if I ever got the opportunity, I would read it out, and I've done that. So can we just give a round of applause for Bishop John Harrower, please? Because I think it's great to hear the church speaking out like that. Now I'll take off that hat, and I'll put off another one. I'm really speaking here as a representative of Civil Liberties Australia. And when I was asked to speak at this rally some time ago, I thought, well, I'd better find out what Civil Liberties Australia official stances is on Wikileaks and Julian Assange. And they sent me down this statement, which came from the President Chris Gluggerman, OAM, of Civil Liberties Australia, and they had issued this on the 17th of December. And it states that Civil Liberties Australia unreservedly supports Julian Assange's right to operate as a journalist and blogger, and to post leaked material online. By doing so, he commits no legitimate offence we're aware of in the USA or Australia. In fact, he is following in a proud US tradition along the lines of Washington Post journalists Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein with Deep Throat in the Nixon era, and the now revered leaker Daniel Ellsberg and the Pentagon Papers at the time of the Vietnam War. And that was recently the subject of an ABC documentary you may have seen, which was very, very interesting. Now, if the person who leaked the material to Assange has broken a US law, it would be the same law that leaker Ellsberg would have broken in the case of the Pentagon Papers in 1971, and Ellsberg is now a hero in the US. If Assange himself has broken a US law, it would be the same law that Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein broke in the Watergate Deep Throat case, which led to the impeachment and departure in disgrace of President Richard Nixon. Both journalists are now American heroes with at least one movie and many books about them and their leaking, reporting ways. So what was the problem in both the Pentagon Papers and the Watergate case? Well, the problem was US military and administration officials were caught lying. Now, as regards Assange and the Australian government, Civil Liberties Australia is alarmed that a government that can so readily abandon an Australian Can readily abandon an Australian citizen as Prime Minister Gillard and Attorney General, and the Attorney General appeared to do so at the outset of this matter. Civil Liberties Australia recalls how even extremely conservative Australians eventually rebelled and forced the Howard Liberal government to do something to help David Hicks, whom that government had abandoned to fabricated American laws and prisoned without reason at the Guantanamo Bay hellhole in Cuba. Now, it seems, the Gillard Labor government is going one better and refusing to stand up for an Australian citizen whose only proven crime is being a good journalist and blogger. It makes you wonder, what is the value of an Australian passport if the Australian government's first response is to try to help a foreign power find a charge to lay against an Australian passport holder? Yes. Civil Liberties Australia would prefer the Australian government spent its resources assisting Assange defend possibly fabricated sex crimes being made against him. Remember, they were made once, then dropped by a Swedish prosecutor, and only recently reinstated by another prosecutor at the time of the latest leaks. Civil Liberties Australia nominated Julian Assange for Australian of the Year 2011. He obviously didn't make it. However, he has done more to eliminate lies, deceit, humbug and hubris in international affairs than anyone in the Gillard, or for that matter, Howard governments, or in the US government. And just to round off, the US might decide to charge Assange with sedition, historically a charge laid at the whim of English kings. This is a political offence not used in the USA for half a century, and one formally and officially discredited in Australia by a change in legislation in 2010. And that was the statement that was released by Civil Liberties Australia in December of last year. They have since written an Australia Day letter to the Prime Minister requesting that she does stand up and the country stands up and looks after Julian Assange. So that's Civil Liberties stand on Australia. That's the Anglican Church through Bishop John Harrow's stand on Wikileaks and Julian Assange. So thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Jim.